Começar. So hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. Welcome to the Soccer Hub online summit. Sorry for the slight delay, but now we will start and discuss the subject that we have for today. So first, let me just introduce a bit of Soccer Hub. Soccer Hub is an online platform where we produce some content about soccer coaching, soccer scouting, soccer analysis. You can find there many different kinds of content. You can even find some free content just for you to try the way that the platform works. Today, we will have our Soccer Hub Online Summit World Cup Special Edition. We will discuss during the period of the World Cup some different issues, not superficially issues such as who scored the goal. We'd like to have some discussions that really had some value to this kind of knowledge in specific. So today we are discussing preparing athletes for a mental challenge. Okay, we are discussing mental coaching. That's why we have here Ricardo Peixe. Ricardo Peixe is a high performance mental coach. He is now also available on Soccer Hub on pre-sale a course about how to define and how to establish clear and successful goals to your soccer team. Thank you, Ricardo, for being here with us. We have also Pedro Cunha. Pedro Cunha is a journalist, works for one of the biggest online news site called Mais Futebol. He's an editor of this Mais Futebol website. So thank you, Pedro Cunha, for being here with us today. And thank you. And finally, Ricardo Pereira. Ricardo Pereira is a former international player / goalkeeper. Of course, many of you already know Ricardo. And I would like to start exactly with Ricardo and asking a simple question, Ricardo. How does a player feel before he gets in to the pitch during a World Cup or an European Cup or a big competition like this one, Ricardo?
First of all, good afternoon, good night, good morning to everybody. Mm-hmm. For me, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation. And to answer your question, it's easy. It's the easiest competition every good football player ever in the front. Is the World Cup, is the Euro Cup, is the biggest competitions for us is the easiest, because it's the competition you work for during your life, during your career. You hope to be there since I was a kid. I dream all about this, and only the good guys can play this. And when you reach that moment, I talk for myself. It's the easiest moment. You need to work hard, but when the game starts, you need to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. It's easier to play to the national team than to your club. Don't you feel more pressure when you are playing for the national team because you have the entire country on your shoulders?
That's one of the good things we have, because I think pressure have the guys who need to put money inside the house and they don't have a job to do it. That's the real pressure. We have the best thing in the world is we love, and some of the guys, they're very well paid. Okay, the responsibility it's big, it's higher. It's like I told you before, it's the thing you need to enjoy. You need to relax, do your work, playing on the pitch everything you work for, and that is my pressure during my life only. It's doing my job the best I can.
Okay, Ricardo, thank you. Ricardo Peixe, now we are going to this specific competition, this World Cup, this edition, 2018 edition. And I'd like to know from you, how do you think that is the mental state of the Portuguese national team, considering that they are the ones that have the title of European champion?
Well, according to Ricardo, and first of all, hello to everybody around the world. And according to Ricardo, of course, that the pressure for these players is a different type of pressure than a normal worker has. Of course, putting food on the table, that's the real pressure in your life. But the expectations for the Portuguese team, although Portugal is the European champion, are not that high. Of course, that everybody wants Portugal. Everybody in Portugal wants Portugal to win, of course. But I don't think that the expectation level is, the pressure is, I think we are not on the starting gate. We are not the front runners, the all-time favorites to win. I think that in Euro 2004, where Ricardo played brilliantly, we had a lot more responsibility and a lot more pressure than on this World Cup, because it was our home. It was the championship in our stadiums. I don't know if it felt that way for the players, if it felt like they had an added responsibility or not. But I think that in this stage, Portugal, after drawing against Spain without making a wonderful game, but with Cristiano Ronaldo at the highest level possible, but without making a perfect game, it draw against Spain. So I think we are possibly in a pretty good mental state. We are in a pretty good zone.
Mm-hmm. Pedro, what do you think about this? Some surprises that we already have in the late results from Germany and from Brazil also. Do you think that this is going to be the World Cup where we're going to have many surprises?
Some underdogs are doing their job in a way that is surprising me. I must admit, Brazil, Germany, even Spain, they don't do the job correctly, and we are watching some national teams playing in a way that nobody was expecting. Mexico, for example, was a huge surprise for me. I was watching the match between Germany and Mexico, and I was really feeling that Mexico could win the match because they were so solid in a mental way, but very organized, very committed to the match, and they were defending with a lot of organization. And in the transition to the attack, they were doing exactly what they should. So it was a great example of what this World Cup can be in the next 2 weeks. But yes, I must agree with Ricardo and with both Ricardos. Playing for the national team, for me, I never have that chance. But first of all, it's a pleasure, a huge pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you, Pedro.
Yeah, I think that's just adding to what Pedro said. In these types of competition where you have just a few number of games, like if it's a league like the Portuguese league or the Spanish league, you have 20-something games, 30 games to play. So the loss of focus in one game probably doesn't have such a toll like when you have 3 games, and any type of misconcentration, any misstep can do a lot of harm to your final position. And what we saw from Mexico was that they were really clear, they were focused, and they stuck to that focus and that determination throughout the game. So it's a beautiful example of when you have everything aligned, when the tactic is correct, when the technique is correct, when the players are good, that mental aspect can make the difference. Of course, if me, Pedro, and other 10 guys went to play football against Germany, no matter how focused we were, we will get like 200 goals. But when we have good teams, the difference, when we have almost the same level, that difference of focus, of determination, of belief, that can make that is the thing that can make the difference. And Mexico was a very good example.
I think is the World Cup is a short competition. The Euro Cup is a short competition, and the commitment every player have inside the pitch. Pedro gave the best example until now. For me, it's the best team until now. The best team, not only the people said no, they win Germany, they run a lot. No, the guys who understand the game. It's easy to see during the game that's going to be tough beat that Mexico because they played not only with passion, with quality, with good players. They play with a high intensity on the game. Every player. Everybody knows the tactic to beat England don't have names. They have numbers. And on the pitch, every number needs to occupy that place. No, doesn't matter the name of the guy. And you can see, if you see the game again, it's unbelievable the commitment every player put inside that game. It's unbelievable.
Ricardo, let me speak a little bit about Héctor Herrera. For me, he was the man of the match, not Lozano. Lozano scored the goal, but Herrera was a monster during the 90 minutes. I think I never watched Herrera playing with this quality. I watched him play good games for Porto, of course, but he was amazing the entire match. And I am speaking about Herrera. Why? Because as you know, Mexico national team had a problem with that party in their day off. Héctor Herrera shown in some pictures. He was with some family problems. He made a flight to Porto. He was with his wife, with his kids. He returned to the national team. He made this exhibition amazing. And then in the end, he spoke to the journalists and he told this. I was so bad in the last few days that when I entered the pitch, I felt that it was needed to do this kind of proof of life, you know. And so this was a great example of mental capacity.
Ricardo Peixe, before I go back to you, and I will ask you what kind of analysis do you do about this situation of Herrera. I would like to ask to our audience to introduce some questions today, and for the first time we are live exclusively in our Facebook group Soccer Hub VIP. So this is an exclusive webinar only for the VIP associates of Soccer Hub. So don't be shy. Introduce your questions. I will be glad to ask to each and any one of our panel. But now, Ricardo Peixe, can you please try to explain what you think that might happen with that kind of message from Herrera?
Well, of course, Herrera's situation has a lot of different layers because it's a family situation and a very difficult one to assess. But what I think the message is here is, and for everybody, you see players that have people of their family that passed away during competitions or during games. You see players that sometimes face with very difficult personal challenges when they are doing some competition. And what Herrera proved to us, like many other players before him, is that no matter what happens in your life, you always have a choice into turning that into a positive or turning that into a negative. He picked up a very difficult situation in his life and said, this will provide me with the fuel that I need to do the best game of my life, to make my proof of life. He could very easily said, this is heartbreaking, my family is in pieces, I cannot play. So it's the same event, it's just two interpretations and two ways of looking at the same situation. I'm not judging in the matter of, I don't know what's best or what's worse for Herrera. I know what's best for Mexico. The best for Mexico is that they played the game of his life, so a wonderful game. So the best for the Mexico national team is that. But if he chose the other way, I'm not saying that is wrong. I'm saying that is a choice, and that the players that are strong mentally, and Herrera in the beginning of the season in Porto was faced with a lot of difficult situation because the fans were not supportive of him because of the past mistakes that he did in the club, and he again turned that into a positive and made the best ever season that he played in Porto. So that kind of situation is the kind of situation that you see in players which are mentally strong, and that is of course you can train to do that, but it has to come from a desire from the player to not be able to yield to the pressure outside and to be able to take that event and say, I'm going to do this and it's going to be amazing, and to take that risk.
Ricardo, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Just a simple thing. But now, from now on, the fans, they want back Mexico until the end.
Yes, of course.
Because they choose that responsibility.
Yeah.
They prove they can play better. They have a better attitude. It's possible to do better every game. And that's the responsibility they have now.
Yeah, and I think that you felt that pressure after you defended that famous penalty against England. You felt
good. That's the best part. That's the best part.
Every time that the player went to score a penalty to you, you felt the pressure. I need to defend this because, well, I defended the other one, and the other one was more important. And the player which is playing against you, they feel it too, because they say, now this is the guy that defended that. It's the type of pressure that Ronaldo puts on himself when he says, I'm the best of the world. I'm going to be the best ever. I'm going to break all the records. And then he gets to a game and scores 3 goals. And now everybody's expecting that the next match, Ronaldo scores at least 3. If he only scores 2, it was a bad game for him. So the type of pressure that the champions put on themselves.
That's the problem to be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I read some news. I don't know in my football, but something like Messi didn't score the penalty because he was pressured by Cristiano Ronaldo. Do you think that, Pedro? Do you think that make any sense saying something like this?
No, I can tell you why. Today I wrote an important information about that. The coach of Iceland explained to the journalists that their goalkeeper coach spent many hours analyzing the penalties of Messi. They were expecting a penalty for Argentina, and the coach, the assistant coach, spent a lot of hours analyzing the penalties of Messi. And then in the end, he spoke with their goalkeeper, Alderson, and they decide if Messi shot the penalty, you will go to that side, because 80% of the shots go to that side. And in this case, it is correct. But Ricardo can tell a little bit about that, because it was...
For sure, Pedro, it's not I guarantee you, it's not the best thing to watch. It's not the side of the percentage of Messi shoot for the right side or the left side.
The eyes.
For sure, it's the eyes of the goalkeeper and the feeling you have to study the body language of Messi.
Yeah.
That's the meaning, not the side of the penalty. Because if you look at that statistics, some teams have 70% of ball and the other one have 30, and they lost the game.
Yeah.
It's not statistics. It's the real feeling and the body language of, because when you take a penalty, it's like a challenge, individual challenge. It's only you and the guy who's going to try to score.
Ricardo,
during the match.
Yeah. Have you ever felt in a forward or in an opponent before a penalty kick some fragility, that he was shaking, trembling? Did you felt that
in the World Cup? In the World Cup in 2006, after that game at 2004, we know we felt inside the pitch, and everybody felt if we go to the penalty shootout again, we have a big advantage, because we noticed in the face of the England players, they are afraid. Because this guy again, if like I told you before, I said to Scolari, I said to Scolari 2 minutes before the shootout, I said, Mister, I'm going to catch the first one. Is Lampard's going to score the first one? I'm going to catch the first one. If I catch the first one, all the rest, they're almost 80% dead. Yeah. And I need to manage my feelings. I need to manage my emotions. Only that, inside that bit. Because on the penalty shootout, how can I say, the collective work stops when the referee whistle.
Yeah.
From then on, you have an individual match only.
I have a problem every time I hear somebody says the penalty lottery, because I think it's exactly the opposite. A penalty is like the situation of a game where you control most of the environment. Like the ball is standing, you don't have any barrier, you don't have any defenders coming through. It's just you and the goalkeeper, or the goalkeeper and the defender. So you control most of the usual context and environment. So it should be not a lottery, but like a very specific thing that it's not the quality of like the shoot, but all of the mental and emotional aspects that you have to control, because all of that will come into play on that moment, because it's the moment that you have time to feel something that you don't usually have time when the play is running and you're running through the balls. You don't have time sometimes to feel afraid like you do when you have a penalty and the goalkeeper is in front of you, and all of the pressure.
And when you goalkeeper decide, you can be wrong.
Yeah,
you can be wrong. You can. The guy is in the other side. Is gonna do something different. You can be wrong. It's so difficult.
Yeah, but I think the pressure is much more for the forwarder than for the goalkeeper, right? So you expect
it's toughest for us.
Yeah,
it's the toughest for us.
You expect the striker to score. You don't expect the goalkeeper to defend. When the goalkeeper defends, like, amazing, he did it.
No, that's why every guy all around the world, they say Messi missed the penalty.
Yeah,
100% wrong.
Yeah,
it's the guy who catches the penalty. Yeah. The goalkeeper catches the penalty, not Messi. If the goalkeeper go to the other side, Messi will score because the ball is on the net.
Yeah.
So when I heard something about that, I've been pissed off. When a goalkeeper saves a penalty, the guy said, "No, Messi missed it." I said, "Sorry." I said, "Fucking hell, it's not fair." It's not fair. The guy have so many hours of work, and the guy said the other guy missed. No, it's not that.
When you defended yours without the gloves, they didn't say the other one missed. They said you defended.
Yeah,
that was. They said you defended. They didn't say the other missed. When you took off the gloves and defended that one, it was you who defended. It wasn't him who missed it.
So, Ricardo Pereira, did you any kind of mental coaching for face the specific situation of the goalkeeping save, or did the coach give you special information about how should you deal with this kind of goalkeeping situation in the penalty shootout?
I told you it's not a lot of hours studying all the guys, because when you go to a final of a World Cup or Euro Cup, when you pass the phase groups, every game it's possible to go to a penalty shootout, and you need to make your homework, study the other team on detail. And the guys who take the score, when you are a goalkeeper, you focused on the game in your work, but you need to study. And Brassar have a lot of work with me, with the Moreira and the key. study all the guys. We are together every night after the dinner. I don't say hours, but 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, studying, watching, almost every day. And you need to be good. You need to be fast. You need to be very fast on your reflex and everything. But it's good for you to study the opponent. And when the moment comes, enjoy. You have done your work.
Ricardo Peixe, is there any kind of work related with mental coaching that can be done with the goalkeeper in these kind of moments to prepare him for these kind of situations? Is there some strategies to help the goalkeepers in that situation?
Well, there is, because like Ricardo was talking about, it's a matter of feeling. And let's specify a little bit what is that feeling. Like a feeling that you have that the player is going to score to one side or the other. You get that feeling, and you don't know exactly why did you get that feeling. It just comes to you. But your brain is processing a lot of information. It's processing the body language and the steps that he makes and everything. So you can do a mental process. You can to enhance the ability of your brain to notice those small details and to give you that information. There is no magic formula. So there's no work that can be done that you can make somebody guess or have the feeling for every penalty shootout or every penalty kick ever. It doesn't exist, of course. But as anything in the world, you can enhance that tactics. That's why some goalkeepers have a lot of penalties that they defend, and some are, it's not a speciality of them, for so to speak, because some of them work hard, study hard, and then you can do some mental training that enhances that. It's not a magic formula, but it can be enhanced so that when you are looking at the player running towards the ball, your brain can process more and faster to give you that feeling, which can be more correct. Of course, there's only two statistics in football. It's either 100% or zero, because either you defend or it's goal. So every other statistic is bullshit, because in that moment there's only 100 or zero. So if it's 100, you're a hero. If it's zero, you're a zero. So it's very difficult to see like the work coming through. But it's, of course, a possibility, of course.
So, Pedro, I'm aware that you've been part of, you went to different competitions all over the world, of course, soccer competitions. Do you have some history that you would like to share with us that you feel that is appropriated to discuss now?
Yes, I went to one World Cup, one European Cup, and one Olympics in Brazil. First of all, the atmosphere is completely different between a World Cup or European Cup and the Olympic Games. The guys from the basketball or tennis, they have a different approach to the match completely. Including their relationship with media. I would like to talk about two examples. I've met some years ago a guy that is now in the World Cup for England, Danny Rose. I made him a small interview in a mixed zone. He was quite a guy, very nice, very accessible. But I think I think you must read in the last weeks. Last year he had a problem with a knee. He was almost 1 year outside sidelined, and he was diagnosed with a depression recently. Why? He can't handle the injury in the knee, and at the same time, in the same period. An uncle of Danny's uncle, committed suicide. It was a coincidence, very sad for sure, and he couldn't deal with that. The only guy that was aware of Danny's situation was his agent and his psychologist, of course. He never told anything to his wife, to his family, but suddenly, when the World Cup list for England was public, he decided to come out and speak openly about his situation. I am looking forward to see Danny play in the World Cup. I think he's a hero, of course, and I think it was very important for him to speak about this mental issue, because sometimes we look to football players as superheroes, but no, they are not superheroes. They are young guys with different profiles, and sometimes they live in a bubble outside the real world, and they are not ready for this kind of consequences. So Danny
Pedro,
Rose example,
that's one
important.
of the real pressure. One.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine that, Ricardo. I imagine that. Speaking about other situations, I can tell you my story with Rafa Nadal. That is, I think, a great story. It's not a mental issue, a mental health problem, but is an example that gives us the profile of a tennis star, one of the biggest stars in the world. I was, for coincidence, in the same plane as Rafa when we traveled to Brazil. And of course, me as a journalist, when I watched Rafa in my plane, I went to him and asked him for a small interview. The problem was that Rafa was going to the VIP places, and I was in the standard places. So he told me, Pedro, sorry, we can speak now, but please meet me in the bathroom during the flight, maybe, or having a drink. Okay. After 8 hours flying over the ocean, I never saw Rafa again. And I thought to myself, okay, I lost this exclusive. It would be fantastic for my football to have Rafa Nadal, because I don't know if you know, but sometimes we have to pay to these guys to make an interview, because they are top players, and we don't have money for that in my football. And I thought, okay, I lost this chance. Let's try another one when I get to Rio de Janeiro. After I left the plane, I was picking up my luggage, and suddenly I heard in some 50 meters ago near me, Rafa, someone yelling, Pedro, and I look to my side. It was Rafa. Come here now. We have 15 minutes to speak. And I was completely, wow. He wants to speak with me. It was a great example of a guy that has everything, and he did not forget what he told me in the beginning of the trip. It was very easy for him to forget this, and we have a fantastic chat about 15 minutes in Rio de Janeiro. For me, it was a fantastic exclusive to start the Olympic Games, and for Rafa was another conversation with a journalist. But after that, I start to look to Rafa in a different way, for sure. And I think this is a great example of a guy that is very simple and very solid and very safe of himself. He is not a guy that is looking for ghosts, afraid of journalists. He's a guy very solid. And then when we watch Rafa play, we saw exactly this.
Yeah. Ricardo Peixe, do you think that this kind of profile is common in successful players? People that don't feel uncomfortable sharing their knowledge and sharing and talking to feeling confident with themselves. Do you think it's common to all the top players and top athletes in the world?
Well, let me just do about Danny Rose, just a comment about Danny Rose first before I answer your question, because we saw that Danny Rose talked about himself and his problems, and we saw that André from Barcelona also had a very long interview about how he felt in Barcelona, the pressure, not being able to perform. And I think it's important that these players share this, because I think that other players feel safe to feel this as well, or know that it's normal that you have some up moments and that you have not so up moments, that you sometimes have phases where you doubt yourself. And the most important part after sharing this is, of course, looking for help in way to overcome this. Being a coach, a psychologist, whatever help it is, whatever works for you, but to have the help that you need to overcome these problems, because they are normal human problems, to have self-doubt, to not know if you can make it, to not be able to do it. It takes a lot of sometimes self-confidence to overcome these types of situations. So I'm very glad that Danny did that, and then that Andre did that, and that, of course, they received the proper help to be at their full attention and at their full best. Now, about the question that if every player, every successful player is that, I'm not sure, because what we see usually is it's a mask, right? They have that mask, that appearance for the outside, that sometimes it's very similar to what they are inside. Sometimes it's very different. From the interviews that I see, I'm inclined to tell you that Roger Federer is also a very humble, approachable, nice guy, because it seems that way. But I can tell you for sure. From the interviews that Rafa Nadal gave in the past, I was hoping that it was like this. But it's becoming more normal to do like this. I think that in the past, the players which were very good players in every walk of life felt that they had to be obnoxious to the others, that they have to be arrogant. I think that we are seeing a different path from the young, good players, successful, that keep humility and keep the niceness. Of course, that when you are in the type of stratosphere that and all of that type of players, LeBron James and all of, you get everywhere. So they need some protection always. It's not like they want obnoxious or not nice to people, but they need to protect their privacy and they need to protect their alone time. If Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't have that, he wouldn't be able to walk out on the street, and he's not able to walk on the street without hundreds of people hounding them and talking. It's different when you're in a plane and a journalist sees you there and has the guts and the confidence to say, I'm going to take this chance, let me go speak with him, and you are nice in that manner. I'm not sure if he were on the street, if he would do the same thing. So I think that you see more of that, but I'm not sure. Maybe Ricardo can tell us that from the big players that he met in this past, what type of profiling and personalities were they?
I think it's the individual character. One guy is not. You talk about two or three the biggest legends in the world.
Yeah.
But they are nice guys inside the club, inside the national team, inside the group. They have the confidence, and outside that space, maybe they are different. Maybe for the other people, some attitudes doesn't look right, but it's not the best way or the best view to watch that question. Yeah. I think because it's you need to measure a lot of items, items. Every guy is like every guy. We have a little conversation a few weeks ago, and I'm only talking for myself. During my career, sometimes I change the way the approach with some journalists, because I need to defend myself. I need to stay away from the things I can't control, because I know some situation they are created behind the scenes, and when they have the opportunity, they put this in like it's not in a normal way. I don't know if I can explain better, but some of the guys change a bit in different situation. And it's not a reason to be a very good guy, a very kind guy, or a devil. It's not that way to because I have friends, good friends, for the entire of, for example, the journalists. It's unsupportable. The guy is a very good guy. It's strange, but that's the way it is.
Ricardo,
Pedro, something? Okay.
Yes, I remember one sad story. Robert Tank, the former Benfica goalkeeper. I think it's a great example of a guy that couldn't control the pressure that he felt in his job. I don't know if Ricardo played against him. What was your image of Robert, Ricardo?
The image I have from Robert Tank was a very focused guy. Need to be perfect, needs the perfection. Every game, the few words I have with him, I felt it was a very workable guy. He need to work a lot to. If he felt something is not the 100%, he work a lot on this, and we can say it was the principal thing. It's the pressure he can handle with his sports life. We don't know what happened in that moment. We don't know. And I have in the past that problem in my family. The only person who can explain to you, it's not here anymore. It's not here. Only when you found them, when you find it, when you find that person in the heaven, you can talk with him, because you never know the real reason. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. So guys,
can I?
Sure, Ricardo, go on.
I was thinking about a different subject and about a question I wanted to place to Ricardo for a long time, because we saw that in the last European, Fernando Santos had a very clear goal, and he stated that goal, that objective, and he said that I'm not coming home until the 11th of July, and I'm going to be receiving the party. And I was thinking that Scolari is one of the great examples of coaches that can build a solid group amongst the players. Now we could feel
biggest mental coach, the biggest mental coach.
And how was he on the goal setting? Did you have the goal to win? What was your mental process? Like, did he stated that goal? Did you? Of course, every player wants to win, but it was like a team goal. Like, we are going to win this European, or not?
Yeah, Scolari have his way to lead with the group, but all the time since the beginning was a very respectable way. I said to Ricardo and Pedro in the past, you have the words maximum responsibility, maximum freedom for you. You need to felt like you are in your club or in your house. You need to be here. You need to enjoy to be on the national team. But when you are on the national team, you need to work hard and give everything you can for the other guys around you. That's the meaning. That's the meaning of a family. When you have a son is sick, if you could, you pass sickness for you, for sure. And inside the football team, that's the real feeling. That's the real objective you need to have inside a national team, because it's not a club. It's not the normal thing. You be with your colleagues every day, training every day in your club. It's not like that. And with him, we pass that moments. we are expecting every month or every 2 months the day we can join together again to play one match, because the matches was the funnest thing we have. We need to be involved with each other, and that's the real thing. And that's when the results, okay, we didn't win, but sometimes that things happened. And with Fernando Santos, the coach I have too in Sporting, is a different way. And Mr. Fernando Santos now, it's different now, like than 15 years ago when I have it. The relation they have with the players, I think is better now, much better.
And
that phrase is said only at the end, we're going home, is the clear message to inside the group. That's the clear message.
That was a message for the group, not for outside. It was a message for the group.
No.
And how was it? Because we saw this in Germany, this World Cup. Germany lost, Brazil draw, Spain draw, and Portugal in that European lost the first game against Greece. And how was that? How did that shifted your mental? Did that give you more ambition? How did you dealt with the loss at home?
It was simple. It was simple. He said to us, "Now, guys, we only have one way. We need to win 6 matches until the end, because the country needs you to take this big party until the end, and you need to win 6 matches." Unfortunately, we win every game until the final, and we didn't win the final. But it was a clear message. It changed some of the guys of the team, but all the rest maintained the same.
Were the guys that were not playing on the team? Did they stay committed to the group? Did they have
one of the biggest secrets was that Fernando Couto, Rui Costa, great guys. The biggest one of the Figo. Fernando Couto in that time was the most international guy on the team. And those guys was the supporter of the young guys. All the team worked together, because the principal guys, like I told, Fernando, Rui Costa, Simão, I remember, all the guys who normally played when the second game Scolari changed, I don't know, I don't think it was 5 or 6 players. He changed Rui Jorge, he changed Miguel, he changed Rui Costa, he changed Fernando, he changed Simão. Those guys were top with all the other guys. Because if those guys don't have the best behavior they can, it was impossible to support that 40 days we are together. That's the real meaning of the family.
Well, we saw that in the England game when Rui Costa came in and scored that magical goal that took us to the penalty shootout. We know he was committed. Everybody wants to play.
I'm here. I'm important too. I'm here. I'm important too. He said, running, and he said, "I'm here. I'm important too. I'm the Rui Costa, the same Rui Costa."
So, guys, we're about to finish. We have 45 minutes to talk, so we're about out of time. But before we go out of this conversation, I must ask this question to all of you. And I will start from Ricardo, then from Pedro, and then from the other Ricardo. Who do you think is the favorite to win the World Cup this year? Ricardo.
Portugal doesn't count.
No,
Portugal doesn't count.
I think it should count. But listen. I was maybe in the next conversation we'll discuss this. But I was a bit amazed. I was amazed when everybody was celebrating the draw against Spain as a win. And we still see on TV.
We have biggest chance to win. But
Yeah.
we have we have to be humble to know we can lost with any team. If Portugal doesn't win, I put two names on my board here. I have Belgium.
Oh,
It's one of the outside. It's a great team. It's a great team. One of the biggest team. And with this false start, I put Brazil inside too.
okay. Thank you. What about you, Pedro? What do you think?
Without Portugal, my heart now is with Mexico. I'm not saying that Mexico will win the World Cup, but my heart is with them now. After that match, I was completely a new Mexican in Portugal. But rational, with my mind, I will stick with Brazil. They didn't play well against Switzerland, but listen, look at this team. They have Coutinho playing with Neymar, Gabriel Jesus. It's a great team, a great outfit. And if I have to put money in some team, I will put in with Brazil.
And the Brazilians journalists, they wake up Neymar yesterday. That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
Yeah, yes, I agree with that.
Dangerous.
They woke up the beast. They woke up the beast.
Ricardo, what do you think?
Well, I think that the reason that that there's a saying that football is 11 against 11 and in the end wins Germany is because Germany is a pretty solid mental, emotional, stable team. Like it's very difficult to rock them. It's very difficult to put them out of their game. So in a competition like this, they're always a force to be reckoned with, and they have pretty good players. Maybe not the best team ever, like we've seen from Germany, but they have a lot of good players. The reason
Ricardo, there's one thing I don't felt that in Germany because of one thing I think is messing with the German guys. The situation of Neuer.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not good.
Yeah. Not playing the whole
Even
season.
with Neuer. Manuel Neuer is the best or one of the best goalkeepers in the moment.
Yeah.
But after 1 year, 7 months without playing, reach the final of the World Cup, that's not a good thing to manage inside the group. Yeah. That's not easy.
Yeah.
Ricardo knows what he's saying.
Yeah.
I know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's of course a thing to come into account, because if they are not able to maintain that state, it's all gone for them. Now, the reason that Brazil won the most World Cups is because they usually bring a magic then that when it works, it's amazing and it blows everybody apart. They have a
lot. Yeah. They have a lot.
Yeah. They have an amazing team, but the question is, will they hold mentally and emotionally that state throughout the World Cup? Because historically, in the past years, it has not been easy since Scolari. It has not been easy for them to hold that, because they always have good teams. But it's not been easy to hold like the mental stability of them. If they can do it this World Cup, they have amazing team. I think that Belgium is, if not now, in the near future, a real force to be reckoned with, because they are like a pretty solid team. But the one to win, it's Portugal.
So, yeah, sure.
For sure.
My money is in Portugal.
Ricardo, can I ask you one more question?
Sure, Pedro. Go on.
What is your opinion about this new Spain? With a new coach 2 days before the beginning of the World Cup, mentally to a player, how they react to this?
Ricardo, I'm going to say to you, I don't know, because I don't have that crazy thing in my life.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a crazy situation.
That's strange, but perhaps you have two choices. The players join around Fernando Hierro, and he's one of the respectable guys inside Spain.
Yeah, that's
inside Spain. Everybody likes him. and probably they make a fortress around that. Probably because all the players likes Lopetegui too. He stay with them the last years, but it's not the easy things to manage for sure. I don't have that kind of situation in my career.
Yeah,
but for sure, it's a different way to prepare a World Cup. It's not one competition, simple competition. It's a World Cup.
And it's Spain. It's not Panama. It's Spain, right?
Yeah.
It's a candidate.
I think that the choice of Fernando Hierro was a very smart one, because they chose somebody which was like a respected international player, like one of the best players ever from Spain, like a solid player, which is considered now like a very respectable person. So for the group, I think it's easy to relate with them and to accept them. And if Hierro is smart, and I think he is, he will not change a lot from the work of Lopetegui, because he doesn't have the knowledge of the team, and he doesn't have, so he's able to maintain some sort of stability and to get the players around him. Of course, that their pride hurt, and they can use their hurt pride, like losing the coach and having all of this confusion. They can use that as a fuel to propel them to the next games. So I think that the way that we see them enter the field in the next game after drawing Portugal and losing the coach will be decisive in order to see if Spain is going to move forward. Against Portugal, they did a pretty good game.
Very good game.
They attacked a lot. They were solid. They were creative. They spent 20 minutes passing the ball behind, like Lopetegui likes. But it didn't work, because at minute 87, there was a guy that shot a missile through the goal. It didn't work. But because if it wasn't for that fact, if it wasn't for that free kick, the game would have worked perfectly for them. So let's see how they come back from this and propel after the next few matches.
So guys, thank you very much to all. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you, Ricardo. To our audience, if you want to know more about this thing of mental coaching, Ricardo Peixe has a course now on pre-sale, how to set clear and successful goals to your soccer team. The course is with 75% discount, so go and get it right now. Thank you to all, and see you soon, and thank you for being with us, okay? Thank you, guys.
See you soon, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.